Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. So, whew, this episode was a lot for good reasons, bad reasons, and I also feel like fake plot reasons. And I'm going to get into that. But this is my review again on Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup, season, child, I don't know, and season episode what, 17. Yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, let's start off with the pointless couple that's still on this show, and I don't even know why they're still on the show. Paul Bunyan and Courtnee. Okay, so Paul Bunyan he is still at the hotel, and he's like, well, Courtney's not here, so I guess we will have to do this the hard way and take it to court. Well, Courtney is there, but she's outside vaping. Okay, and so at that point, like a typical troll, she wants to try to antagonize him as much as possible, but Will doesn't care anymore. Okay? Will does not care anymore at all whatsoever. He's like, yeah, whatever, skank. Give me the papers. I don't care if you put your freaking Cracker Jack box ring in dirt. I don't care. Just give me the papers. And she's like, you're a horrible husband. You're a horrible husband. What husband doesn't want to take care of his wife? Where's the papers, Courtney? Where's the papers, Courtney? Go with your guys that you were over there having freaky tales with and getting money from. How about you deal with them? So she's just trying to go back and forth to antagonize him. He's putting his luggage in a car and he's like, yeah, that's it. And at the end of the day, I wish you well. Bye, skank. And she's like, you're a bitch. You're a bitch. And he was like, well, you're a skank. And yeah, she was like, you're going to want this back in 2 weeks. Want what? what would he possibly want? I mean, that you literally, at the end of the day, I don't even think your cooch is worth all the drama that you've created for the past, 6 weeks? So then, literally, they're in the confessional, and we find out they're kind of in a confessional because they're forced to kind of complete their contract. And Will is just like, yeah, Courtney has hurt me to my core. She got dropped off by some person. They didn't even want to say if it was a guy or a girl, because at this point it could be either or. Okay. And so they was like, yeah, so she got dropped off, and I'm just kind of crushed and wondering who that is. And of course, she's like, it's a friend. That's it. That's all. It's a friend. And so Will says, say the truth this time. And she starts laughing like a Chucky doll. She starts laughing like a Chucky doll, like, if you only knew. So then at that point, I'm hoping, what else do we need to see with this couple? There's nothing else here. There's really nothing else to see. They're not a couple. They never were a couple. She tried to use him. He got smart. It's over. So I'm hoping that we don't see them ever again, because it was given a little too much of her trying to be an antagonizer. And I was starting to see if this was improv. I was wondering at this point, was this actually acting gone bad? Because at this point, there's nothing else left here. So yeah, I'm going to move on. Make sure you hit the like button. He's definitely hurt. He's definitely hurt. You know what I mean? But at the same time, in a way, it's kind of like his fault, because, again, why would you think that this girl, as smart as he is, Will is very smart. If y'all haven't noticed, let me go back. Will is very smart. He's very smart. So the fact that he decided to deal with a Courtney, and if I'm not mistaken, he was a former addict himself, I think he was trying to be super saver hoe. I really think he was trying to be super saver hoe. and thought that he was going to save this girl who just really needed a chance, and she was just there to use him. She was just there to use him. So at the end of the day, I wish Will well. Courtney, on the other hand, I don't know what to wish her. So with that being said, let me move on to Zuzu, aka Blue Lounge, and Troy. Okay, so here's my thing in this situation. Zeruiah ends up having one of her friends, I guess, come from Brooklyn to come visit her. But she's complaining, of course, like she always does. She's always complaining. And she's telling her friend that at first, Troy was supposed to go to Buffalo strictly to check on his brother. But now he's up there mentioning the baby mama, and she's annoyed because, of course, she's not there to monitor everything. And so at that point, the friend is like, well, what's the issue when it comes to the baby mama? Why can't he just text her? Well, he has issues with the baby mama. And she's like, why? Because of me. And so the friend's like, well, did something happen? No. Zeruiah, the fact that you just say you don't understand what's going on, maybe because your alter ego came out and you did certain things and you just don't remember. But I just don't think there's nowhere in anyone's right mind that we think that Yana is just mad at you because you're with Troy. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Is it given bitter from Yana, or is it given that Zeruiah is a nutcase? And this is the reason why she has an issue with Zeruiah. I don't know. But with that being said, she makes it seem like she doesn't understand. But she's like, at this point, Troy doesn't want to get full custody of the daughter because he doesn't want to traumatize the daughter. And I'm like, ma'am, rumor has it you don't even have custody of your own child. That's the rumor. Your parents apparently have custody of that child. And Troy has only been out for 7 months. Her mother has been her stability her whole entire life. Y'all think y'all about to get custody? Get the heck up out of here. So she's on her way to look at wedding dresses. Now, one thing I will say about the wedding dress scene, Zeruiah can't deny she looked good in those dresses. She did. I had to give her props. I was like, she actually looks really pretty and nice and angelic in those dresses. I was shocked, honey. I was like, wait a minute. Like, it actually looks like she is a nice person and is happy for once. So I was like, okay, Zeruiah, I'm going to give you a moment that you actually look really gorgeous in those dresses and you're actually a normal person. All right, I'm going to give it to you. But then we get to Troy. And Troy calls Yana. Okay? And she's like, what you keep calling me for? Because we already know the last episode, Troy had his sister call. And so he's like, let me see my daughter. Let my daughter spend the night with her dad. And she's like, no, I don't know about that. So he was like, let me speak to my daughter. Little Troy gets on the phone. And in typical fashion, Troy is being messy when he speaks to his daughter, saying, tell your mama you want to spend the night. I've been trying to see you. Just know that I've been trying to see you. And, you know, I just want to let you know that. And so at that point, Yana was like, I'm about to hang up the phone. Click. Troy, if you really think trying to feed that into your daughter's head, that is pretty much the mama that is stopping you from seeing her, if you really think that's going to help your relationship with the baby mama, you got another thing coming. I don't know if that's just who you are as a person, or Zeruiah has put that in you, or maybe that's why you and Zeruiah are married, because y'all both messy as I don't know what. But that's not the way to go about it. So he realizes that after she hangs up. Okay, after she hangs up. So he realizes, I guess, okay, maybe I got to find a different approach. So he decides to put on his blue Bill Cosby sweater. Baby, if that didn't look like a Cosby Show sweater that Bill Cosby used to wear back in the day. You know, one thing about Troy, he's very metro. Very, 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 very metro. Like some of the stuff he wears, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But he's wearing his little blue Cosby, Bill Cosby sweater, and he calls her this time with some sense, the baby mama. And he's like, look, I got a lot on my plate. I apologize. I came out already with a daughter, then I got a wife, and then I got a stepson. I'm trying. Like, I just really, really want to see my daughter. I am doing a dedication. I'm doing a memorial for my father, and I really want her to come. And Yana's like, why? And he was like, she's my support system. She's, my emotional support system. I want her to be there, and you can come too. And I want you to wear blue. And then she's like, I don't know. And he's like, I'm on my knees. Meanwhile, he's standing the whole entire time. I'm on my knees. I'm begging. And Yana was like, okay, fine. So he got what he wanted there. So then he decides to call Zuzu and says to Zuzu, oh, you look beautiful. I need you to be here at my father's memorial. And, I'm wondering if you could just come and, be here to support me. And she says, so you run off and not include me because, everything is about her. Everything is about her. You don't include me. And now you want me to stop my plans. Heifer, what plans? What plans do you have? You want me to stop my plans to come to Buffalo? Well, he knew exactly what he was doing because guess what? She packed her bag so quick and ran off to Buffalo, and I think she left her friend there. Did her friend even bother, or was her friend going to stay at the house? Meanwhile, her friend came all the way from Brooklyn to Syracuse to see her. So while she was talking all of that mess, she is literally on her way to freaking Buffalo so she could be there for the memorial. Now, I personally think this was scripted, but let's keep it real. I don't know that many people, unless it's a true emergency that can stop everything they doing to get in their car and drive, I don't know how many hours to go to a memorial. I'm sorry. So to me, this seemed a little scripted, just like some other things seemed a little scripted, but hopefully they can get it together. But what we may see next week is Yana, and Zuzu Blue Lounge at the memorial together. Now, if they ratchet behind, start fighting at that memorial, hoocha. So with that being said, let's move on to, okay, let me take a drink of water for this one. Let me take a drink of water. Oh, Lord. Buffalo's only 45 minutes from Syracuse. Then why did he say if you leave now, you can get here? If it's only 45 minutes, you mean to tell me he only called her 45 minutes before the memorial? She could have been in the shower. So that, to me, makes it even more of a production thing. What makes you think that I could just hop in my car and make my way there? That is true. She don't have a job, honey. I don't know what kind of, because she had that so-called nonprofit, but you see that has disappeared. That has completely disappeared, that nonprofit. We ain't heard about that nonprofit at all this season. So what happened? What happened? Bianca and Daniel. Bianca and Daniel. Are you sure it's 45 minutes? Because I could have swore somebody said a couple times it was like a couple of hours. But if it's only 45 minutes, only 45 minutes. But I don't know. But then again, a couple people on here I think are from upstate. So you would know better than I would. Now, Bianca and Daniel. Okay. So she is putting his stuff in a box. And I didn't, for the life of me, did not understand why she's putting stuff in a box and taking stuff out of the box. I don't know. But my thing is, why are you even touching his stuff? But he is out with his friend playing pool. And he has the audacity to tell his so-called friend that right now him and Bianca are roommates. They're no longer together. Sir, you're not a roommate at this point. You're a squatter. You haven't paid any rent and more than likely haven't paid any bills. You cannot have the title of roommate. Roommates pay bills. So you're a squatter. You're a user. You're a douchebag. All right. So at that point, he's like, well, I can't just tell her to get out. No, you can't tell her to get out because who's going to pay the rent? But his friend says, I mean, let's just be real. Anyone who actually talked to someone in prison and is willing to move across country is obviously someone who has issues. So what does it say about your friend who was actually dealing with her and leading her on in the first place? See, I find it interesting that you say she has issues, but Daniel doesn't have issues. So one is a player, and I guess the other one is pathetic. So you're going to respect the so-called player. Well, that player was a big boomerang and bounced back on him so freaking fast. So at this point, Bianca, she sits up there and is being a typical 24-year-old, and she thinks he's going to come back. He's going to come back to his senses. They're going to be together because he hasn't left the apartment. If he didn't want to work it out, there would be no way, like he would be out of this apartment if he didn't want to work it out. He's going to come back. Girl, he's using you. He's using you. That's it. That's all. It's all about the money for him. And he's already talking to other girls. But if I could be honest, I would say he was talking to other girls from the beginning. He was talking to other girls from the beginning. So honestly, Bianca's delusional, but so is Daniel. He's also delusional. He's just devious with his delusion. So they end up meeting for dinner. And production paid for it because he seemed really happy that he was about to get a steak that he can't afford. And so she seems nervous and she's like, I don't want to eat. He was like, you're not going to eat? He was like, well, I'm going to get this steak. And at that point, she's like, so what happened? Because it seemed like everything was fine when you were in prison. When you got out of prison, and for a couple of months, we were even talking about marriage and baby names. And he's like, yeah. And so she was like, what happened? And he was like, well, I didn't live with you. But now that I live with you, no, the attraction, everything is gone. So you never had attraction for her in the first place. And so he's like, yeah, the attraction, everything is gone. And so what I don't like about him, and one thing that she did say and that he was doing, was gaslighting her. He literally was saying, why would you even think this would work? Why would you think this would work? I'm an addict. I'm impulsive. What did you think was going to happen? And she was like, well, you portrayed it like it was going to be great. And he was like, yep. He said, I sold you on it. Yep, I sure did. I sold you on it so you can come out here. And she's like, why? And he was like, what do you mean, why? And then, of course, he calls her out her name again. He calls her a bitch. And I'm like, you know what? This is getting a little too zesty for me. He using them B words a little bit too much, like he talking, to one of his homegirls, like he having a casual conversation. He is just really completely disrespectful to this girl. And not one time has she even called him out of his name. He's purposely doing this to antagonize her, and not just antagonize her, but to hurt her. And one thing about me, I don't like people who purposely try to antagonize people to try to get a rise out of them. But I definitely don't like people who intentionally try to hurt people. And hurt people. But let's be clear. His hurt has nothing to do with Bianca. His hurt is much deeper than Bianca. And he's trying to blame it on Bianca. And I'm glad Bianca kind of sat up there and fought back and said, don't put that on me. Don't put it on me. So she was like, yeah. What do you mean? She was like, yeah, I sold you on it because it would be better than me being in a halfway house. And she's like, are you serious? And if you guys look at her, she looked like her heart was breaking in that moment. Like, let me tell you something. While Bianca is annoying, Bianca didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve this. She looked like she was genuinely hurt in that moment. And she was like, are you serious? Like, I can't tell if you're being serious right now. This fool decides to grin and wink at her. And I'm sorry, the way his mouth is curving, I can see why he likes jail so much. And let me tell you something. If it was me when I was 24 years old and a guy did that to me, I would be in jail. Straight up jail. This right here shows how much of a demon Daniel is. It was so unnecessary. He purposely was trying to break that girl. He was trying to break her. And felt like if I do all of this stuff, she will leave the apartment to me. Well, apparently she did leave, and you couldn't keep up that apartment, even though you thought you could. And from my understanding, he's now in a sober living home, which pretty much means he doesn't have a home, which tells me that his own family didn't want him around. Because where was his parents that were so concerned the first season? So Daniel, you got some straight up karma coming to you. You have karma coming to you. There was no reason for him to talk to that girl that way. No reason at all whatsoever. And to give that wink at the end, like, I definitely don't rock with a Daniel and never will. And I honestly feel like, wow, I don't even know, has he apologized to Bianca? Because one thing I have seen is that he's definitely been talking about his past and his father not really being there. And let me tell y'all something, just from experience. Addicts, while sometimes it's therapeutic to talk about that stuff so they can heal, the way Daniel operated in this season and how he treated Bianca, he also could be saying that as well. He also could be saying that. So then that way he can actually get some sympathy, aka get some money, like to play the victim a lot. So then that way, he can try to latch on to somebody else like a Bianca, a new Bianca. But I don't rock with Daniel. Daniel, in this moment, I do not respect him. I don't know how his mother feels about it, but I know if my son was acting like this on TV and disrespecting a woman like this, especially a woman where you definitely admitted that you used her, I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed. Yeah, he was nasty for no reason. No reason. He doesn't like her. He doesn't like himself. But the thing is, to me, he plotted this from the beginning. He plotted this from the beginning. When she reached out to him, because I believe she reached out to him first, he saw her as easy prey. He heard about that settlement money and said, I'm going to use this to my advantage because it's going to be a comfortable situation for me to stay with my parents. They may not even want me there. None of my other family has that type of money or whatever. I can kind of be able to coast with this girl because she's so stupid and think that I'm actually in love with her. So yeah, I'm going to take advantage of it. She admitted that she was paying the rent, even though he signed the lease. She was paying the rent, even though he had been working for 5 months. You see, Daniel hasn't brought up that 11-year-old son of his since last season because he's a deadbeat. He's a deadbeat in all ways. Mentally a deadbeat, all of that stuff. Look at the way his mouth perfectly curves, y'all. Don't it seem like something should go in it? I said it. I said it. So maybe that's why you like jail, homeboy. But as far as I see it, Bianca didn't deserve that. She didn't. And that little girl, I hope she's getting therapy. And I call her a little girl because at the end of the day, she's a little girl to me. I know she's a grown woman, but I hope she gets therapy for the things that she had going on before that, but definitely now. Because he pretty much humiliated her on national TV. He did. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, I don't give a dang on what happens to Daniel. You reap what you sow. Brooke Brooke and JK. Toothless got some teethis. Toothless got some teethis. So, for those who watched my Ready to Love review, okay, earlier today, explain to me how this fool got a whole bridge of teeth on the top and bottom, but homegirl can't get one tooth. Explain that to me, because this fool got a bridge on the top and the bottom. So he ends up having a surprise date, child, with Brooke. And we see that Brooke got her a new car too, unless that's her mama's car. Is that her mama's car? Anybody checked out her mama's car in previous episodes? Let me know if it's the mama's car. So they end up having a whole date, I guess, which was not a date at all. They was just at the park, which is free. And so at that point, he's like, I got surprises for you. You know, just want to surprise you or whatever the case may be. And she's smiling, thinking it's cute. We find out Brooke Child is the DoorDash Uber Eats delivery girl. And she said nowhere did she ever dream of delivering food full time at 32. Heifer, a job is a job. And you can't keep a job from what we hear. So maybe this is the best job for you because it can fit around your schedule while you're trying to track JK. So he ends up giving her a lock, but she thought he was about to propose. But he ends up taking out a lock saying that this is symbolic to them being together forever, thinking that this is Paris, and he decides to put a random lock on a freaking gate, telling her to throw away the key. And she upset because she was like, I thought you was doing something else. He was like, oh yeah, my bad. You know what I'm saying? But no. So then at that point, she wants to talk about, you know who? Alex. That's what she wants to talk about. And she is saying that it's not cool that Alex is still really tight with his family, especially his biological daddy. Okay. Now, I did not realize, and maybe I missed this, that Brooke and JK have known each other since they were 13 years old. Explain to me how that happened, especially if they live so far away, because they always claim they live so far away. But apparently they've known each other for that long. And I guess apparently Alex has been around that time too. This is what I'm saying. Like, everybody knows everybody in these small hick towns. But with that, she pretty much tells JK, I'm gonna need for your pappy to back off because this is getting uncomfortable. And so at that point, he's like, well, that's not how my daddy rolls. But, I can try to talk to him, but I don't know if that's going to change anything. Now, JK admits to production that he did see Alex, but he claims that he hasn't seen her again. We know that's a lie. So then at that point, Brooke is upset because she has to work. And she has to take care of all the bills by herself because she said that she is out here raising her boys alone like she's been doing. Well, actually, she hasn't ever raised these boys alone. She has her mama. So then she says that she is taking care of all the bills, and it's just not her responsibility. He should be helping with the bills also. Her boyfriend. I didn't know boyfriend and husbands do the same thing. I didn't know. And I'm trying to figure out, was there an arrangement that he was going to take care of you and those kids financially? Or did he just say he was going to do fun stuff with them? Because he said going fishing and stuff like that. I don't remember him saying, I'm going to make sure that they have their school clothes. I'm going to make sure that they, they do this and do that, like the fatherly stuff. I don't remember him saying that. So at this point, she talks to the mother because she talks to the mama about everything. And of course, she's mentioning Alex again and how she doesn't want her kids around Alex, but the fact that he's not there to support her, and says, he wants to stay at his mama's house. And naturally, he wants to stay at his mama's house because it's rent free. That's why he was able to get them teeth. So the mother is like, why would he want to stay at his mama house sleeping on the floor versus being with you? And mama, you know your daughter. So the fact that you really asking that question like it's a serious question, I'm a little confused because you know how your daughter operate. Who would want to stay with her? But at the same time, he knows if he's gonna go over there, he has to pay bills, rent. So at that point, he goes to visit his biological father. And let me tell y'all right now, this is when the most cringiest scene happens. He talks to his pappy and he talks to him about Alex. And he says, you know, Brooke got an issue with you talking with Alex so much or whatever the case may be. And he said, well, I don't know Brooke. I mean, I may have met her one time when she was 13 years old. I don't have a relationship with her yet. And then he says, Alex, if she's having a down night, we will talk for 3 to 4 hours. Excuse me? What did you just say? Did you just say the pappy will sit on the phone with your son's ex for 3 to 4 hours? Where they do that at? Does anybody think that's normal? Because I don't. I think it's disgusting. What type of freaking phone call are y'all having for that long? I don't even care if y'all was married and that was your father-in-law. That is too much time to be on the phone with Alex. Weirdo vibes, weirdo vibes. And so at that point, he says, well, the last time you talked to Alex, you sure, you sure you're done with her? You're sure that you know everything is good? You don't have no feels for her anymore? And I wanted to say, why? Because you interested in her? What the hillbilly hell is going on here? And he was like, yeah, I ain't talking to her. I ain't talking to her. And he said, well, when the last time you seen her? He was like, I don't know why. He was like, well, you know she pregnant. She's pregnant. And he's like, what'd you say? Now, mind you, the last time we heard she apparently lost the baby. Now, Pappy, are you sure that's not ribs, pastrami, and chitlins, and hog maw, and all of that stuff in her belly, and that's an actual baby, and she actually preggers? I don't know. But somebody lying. You either pregnant and you've been pregnant that whole entire time and you didn't want to say anything, or you lost the baby and you still trying to use the pregnant role so you can stay in contact with everybody. Help me understand. You better say that again, Joseph, because I'm sorry. It's a very weird dynamic to be talking to your ex's father, even if that was not your ex and you were with JK, it's still weird to talk to one of his parents for that long. I'm sorry, I have never talked to any of my exes' mamas for that long. An hour tops. I ain't got time to be talking to you for no 3 or 4 hours. That sounds like people don't have no life. So at that point, he's like, wait, for real? You know what I'm saying? For real? For real? And so he was like, did she say who the baby daddy is? Did she say who the baby daddy is? And so at this point, he freaking out because he know. Oh, Miss, what's up, my sister? Oh my gosh, I ain't seen you in so long. I'm so glad to see you. Literally, he freaking out and he don't want to say anything, of course, but he finally admits that he did have freaky tales with Alex, of course, through production. But at this point, I'm gonna need for you to take a true paternity test, one that could separate you from potentially the father. Because I'm sorry, that's giving weird vibes. It's giving weird vibes. Now, dang it, I ain't accused nobody of nothing. It's for entertainment purposes only. But you gonna have to understand that is some weird nonsense to literally be on the phone with his ex for 3 to 4 hours. She's down. So I talked to her at night for 3 to 4 hours. Weirdo. All right, y'all. Now, stay with me because I'm about to do a deep dive. And I don't know if anybody's done this deep dive yet because I don't watch other people's reviews. But I'm going to tell y'all right now, if no one has done this deep dive yet, and those that I know be listening to my freaking lives who got other channels and taking notes, yeah, I said it. Let's talk about it. Let's do a deep dive because I'm starting to smell some BS. So, Quiana, Jawalia, Jumanji, aka Felicia, and Damodrick. All right. So, Jumanji ends up going to her beautiful grandmother's house. And when I mean beautiful grandmother, I did not think that was her grandmother. I thought that was her mother. But that is her grandmother. And she said her grandmother raised her. And baby, when that grandmother gave her the knowledge that she may not have wanted to hear, but gave her that true wisdom, that grandmother gave her that wisdom. And it was literally wisdom that it wasn't judgmental. It wasn't picking on her. It was truly wisdom that anybody who really loves you is going to tell you the truth. So they end up talking, and Jumanji is saying that she got into it with the stepmama, Damodrick's stepmother, and saying that the stepmother called her bitter about Quiana not inviting her to the party. And the grandmother said, hey, if you would have invited her, it would have been a step forward, and it shows that you're moving on. And she pretty much says, baby, you got to let him go. You have to let him go. He wants to play with you, but be with her. And at that moment, with her dry wig and all, I felt bad for Jawalia because she did genuinely look hurt. She did look hurt. It's sinking in that her grandmother saying, I think it had already sunk in like she knew this, but her grandmother saying it really at that point gave her the, I can't hide this anymore. This is on national TV at this point. I need to accept the fact that, yes, I'm getting played. And so at that point, she tells her, he playing you, and he thinks both of you are weak. And 2 weak women are fighting over him, and he can be with either one of y'all when he feels like it. And I said, well, Granny, tell it like it is. Tell it like it is. And I wanted to show this picture because what you see in both of these women faces, Jawalia and Quiana, is two hurt women that are too afraid to lash out at him because they just want a piece of a man. Even in the car, when he asked Quiana, was she still mad at him? She like, but all in her eyes, you can tell she hurt because she know the truth. She knows the truth, just like Jawalia knows the truth. So at that point, they make their way to Damodrick's father's house. Now, I don't know why the father, every time we see him, he barbecuing. I'm just like, good grief. Like, is that all you do is barbecue? But Quiana and the stepmother, who in my opinion is also an enabler, they sit down. And of course, I told y'all she favors Quiana. She don't like Jawalia. And so at that point, she's like, so Jawalia accusing you of damaging her Fred Flintstone car. And I'm like, now you know that ain't right. Because your grandkids, step grandkids, whatever you call them, are in that Fred Flintstone car. I mean, I understand she got a different two-tone door. I get it. I get it. But at the same time, you talking about her Fred Flintstone car. If you feel like she need a better car, then how about y'all help her upgrade because she carrying them babies. So at that point, Quiana's just like, I just don't know, like, with all of this going on. Like, she's just like, I just don't know. She's trying to make it sound like she doesn't know how it got this far. She does not know. So then at that point, the stepmama says, look, at the end of the day, you can trust your man, but don't be foolish. And so Quiana's like, yeah, because he got a lot of baggage. She said, well, it's up to you if you want to carry that baggage or let it go. Meanwhile, his daddy straight up says, look, it ain't none of my business, but you are my business. You still sleeping with your baby mama? And of course, he give this duh look on his face, knowing good and well was more of a look like, Daddy, why you ask me this on national TV? And he like, no. But the way that the father looked at him, he was like, Ninja, you lying. I know you lying. And this is why you creating all of this mess. All of this stuff is messy because Damodrick likes to play the divide and conquer. He wants these women to be bickering at each other. He doesn't want them to come together and realize that he ain't ish and they both don't want to deal with him. So at that point, child, Quiana has to go and see a lawyer. And they decided that Damodrick is not going to go. And I'm like, now that we see potentially what we discover maybe later on, now I can see why. But this is where things started to get interesting, you guys. And stay with me here, okay? How many months do they constantly say that Damodrick has been out of prison? Because you know how they'll show how many months the person has been out of prison every time their segment comes on? If I'm not mistaken, they keep saying that Damodrick has been out for 4 months. Y'all put a 1 in the chat if y'all agree with me. Have y'all been seeing that they've been saying Damodrick has been out for 4 months? Put a 1 in the chat if you guys have seen that on the screen. 1s in the chat, please, because I'm about to, y'all gonna have to help me understand what's going on here. Put 1s in the chat, 1s in the chat, 1s in the chat. Okay, so Danielle says 4, I think. Put 1s in the chat if you have seen that they have said that Damodrick has been out for 4 months. 1s, 1s, 1s. Okay, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so y'all with me. Stay with me here, right? So she goes into the office with the lawyers and she says, look, from my understanding, I got this case against me now. Before this moment, she's in the car with Damodrick's daddy, and Damodrick's daddy is sitting up there asking her, does she have any information about what's going on? And she makes it seem like she don't have no information. And I'm like, ma'am, you got a call about this case to the point where you took your mic off. What do you mean you're not aware of what's going on? This is why I say Damodrick and Quiana are just alike, because they're compulsive liars. You literally just told that daddy you weren't aware of what was going on, as if you were just like new to knowing this information. Ma'am, you've known what she's accused you of. So stay with me with these 1s. Okay? Stay with me with these 1s. She goes into the office with his attorney. And she says, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. The attorney says, okay, so I looked up your case. He says, and I look at the dates. He says, allegedly, this incident that she's accusing you of happened October 24th, 2024. If you look at the top, it says booking number, total bond, control number, date prepared April 23rd, 2025. That is a 6-month difference. Now, we don't know when they actually filmed this, but help me explain, if y'all keep saying that Damodrick has only been out for 4 months, how this incident occurred October 24th, 2024. This date was prepared April 23rd, 2025, and that is a 6-month difference. Then you're trying to imply that maybe this happened even before Damodrick got out. This math ain't mathing, or is it just me? Look at it. It literally says Lubbock County, Texas, October 24, 2024, did then and there intentionally And then it says, by cutting the tires, but you have this date prepared October 23rd, 2025. How is this mathing? You can't say that you aired or you filmed this in February, because then why would the date be April 23rd, 2025? When did this man get out? That is a 6-month difference. So either somebody lying and making up a fake story or something ain't adding up. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? Or is it just me? Look at it. Apparently this happened October 24, 2024. 6 months later, they prepared this report April 23rd, 2025. Something ain't adding up. It's not adding up. So is this a legit situation or not? And the reason why it makes me question if this is a legit situation, because I don't put it past anyone to also create a case just so they can sit up there and have some type of storyline conflict. Conflict. Like I could see that being possible. People do anything for conflict in a storyline. Like we've seen this before. But the reason why I'm questioning this is because if this girl has a legitimate case against Quiana, why? Oh, why? While she's at the attorney's office, this girl is so bold enough to show up at her house with them kids. Let me drink some water on that. Are you with me, crew? If this is a legit case, why is she so bold enough accusing this girl of potentially something that she has to pay a fine for and potentially go to jail for? Why is she showing up at Quiana's house? Not Damodrick's house, but Quiana's house. And as soon as he opened up the door, she says, "Is your girlfriend here?" So is this a storyline or is this the real deal? Put a 1 in the chat if I'm making sense. Are y'all with me on this? It's not adding up. It's not adding up. 4 months out of prison. This is a 6-month time period. So if this is a legit case that someone reported, this filming had to happen after April of 2025. But this apparently occurred October of 2024. Who do they think they fooling? It ain't making no sense to me. It's not making any sense. So, yeah, your girl, Chris Nicole, said this. So, whoever listening, taking notes, I know you ain't gonna give me credit, but yeah, something ain't adding up. It's not adding up for me, especially with this girl popping up at this girl's house. So when she pops up at the house and he's sitting up there playing football with them, she says, I'm trying to figure out who actually did this. And so he like, what you mean? And then she was like, well, here you go, pimping. Now all of a sudden she got footage of him around that time when I guess apparently they was arguing that night, but filming that night too. Arguing that night and filming that night. He decides to go outside and then later on goes outside again. And then all of a sudden wants to come in and you hear them actually kissing, smooching on the freaking ring, the Ring doorbell or whatever surveillance she had. And so now she like, who really did this? Implying that he could have been the one who did it. And then this felon, this on probation fool says, I ain't got nothing to do with no tires being slashed. And if it was me, I would have blew up your car. Sir, you're a felon. And I believe he's still on probation. But even if he's not, you are a black man who was a felon. And you gonna say on national TV, if it was you, you would have blown up the car. Okay. Yeah, y'all, it's not making sense. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, thank you, Miss T. Something ain't clean in this story. It's not. It's not giving a clean story at all. It's giving fake. It's giving that production maybe don't even know how to get their own storyline straight. A 6-month period from October to April. He only been out so-called for 4 months. So what you're possibly implying is that this potentially happened before he got out? Maybe? What are you implying with this? So yeah. This is not making any sense. So then, of course, while she's sitting up there fussing with him, and I just really just paid attention to the fact that she got this halfway bonnet on that freaking wig. Why do you have this halfway bonnet on that dry wig that you wear? I really just noticed that. Do people literally, that wig that she can just flip on and off, that Chia Pet, that Martin, that ain't no puppy thing that she got on her head. What is the point of having that bonnet on your head? And it ain't even all the way on. It's just halfway protecting that dry thing. Make it make sense. But yeah. Oh, gosh. Thank God they wasn't on this episode. But yeah, you guys, it's not adding up. And this is why I said I'm starting to feel a whole plot. There's a whole plot going on. A whole plot. It's not making any sense to me. And I don't think they realized that people were going to be like, wait a minute. Because I sure did. I said, wait a minute, this math ain't mathing. These months are not mathing. So at this point, are they all in this together? Are they all in this together? And then, of course, when production says, well, how do you feel about you at any moment? You could potentially be arrested, because they were trying to say she has an active warrant. So meaning that if she ever got pulled over for anything, she could have potentially got arrested on the spot. So production says, how does it feel that you could potentially get arrested at any moment, at any time? And she gets up and she was like, y'all better stop playing with me, because this is my life. Like, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I mean, I was still entertained by this episode, but when I saw that, I said, production, what y'all trying to pull? Because this is not adding up, and the things that are occurring are not adding up. And at the end of the day, I smell BS. I smell BS. So if this is actually a legit case, someone's lying about his time out, or Jawalia's lying about this altogether, but she swears up and down that he was out and they was arguing that night. It's just not adding up. It's not making sense. And then why all of a sudden you showing the footage now? And this is nothing that's not making sense. You have footage of him that night being there the whole entire time, and him coming in and out of your house in the wee hours of the morning. And then the next morning, allegedly, you see flat tires and dumb hole on your car, and you just automatically say it's her. But you have footage of him coming in and out the whole entire time, and you now remember that y'all was arguing that night. Come on. Come on. Well, here's one thing that I will say. I don't know if paying that $750 will make it go away, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm never moving to Texas. I, for the life of me, cannot understand how you can have a warrant out for your arrest off of hearsay. That's how y'all do it in Texas. That's what y'all do. Someone can literally say you allegedly did something with no proof, and now there's a warrant out for your arrest. That's what they do. Now, I can see if they gave her a restraining order, because you can put a restraining order typically on anybody. But literally accusing her of vandalizing your car, with no proof and they can have a warrant out. Now, apparently the attorney said these type of things get thrown out typically, when things die down or whatever the case may be. But let me tell you something. In California, they wouldn't even bother. They'd be like, you coming to us with this? Better take this to small claims court, and they still gonna throw it out because you ain't even got no proof. This is what y'all do in Texas. I will never move to Texas. Never move to Texas. Because even Quiana said, y'all done seem like y'all done skipped a couple of parts. What do you mean I have a freaking warrant? How is there even a warrant out with no proof? It does not make any sense. Hey, Ryder, it makes no sense. And so I was like, if this is what they do in Texas, hell no. I had to, Joseph, because it wasn't adding up. I had to investigate these months were not adding up. So let's make this very clear. Y'all heard it here first. People don't like to give me props, and that's okay. God got me, honey. But I'm telling you right now, I had to show y'all this because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't crazy. That these dates they provided were not adding up. The date on the top and the date on the bottom, that 6-month period is not adding up based off of when Damodrick apparently got out and when this so-called slashing tires even occurred. So somebody lying. I just want to know who. And I don't put it past any of them, which is why I told y'all Damodrick, Jumanji, Kui, any of them could have did the slashing of the tires. Hell, production could have did it at this point. I don't trust them either. So on that note, that was the end of the episode. And I want y'all to chime in and let me know what y'all think about this. Now, normally I'm more clean with my segments, but of course I'm so busy looking at the chat. I'm up here talking about a different couple because y'all want to still talk about that couple. And then I got the other couple's picture on there. I'm going to try my best to do a timestamp for each couple. For some of you guys who don't even want to care and talk about other couples, I'm going to try my best to do timestamps. But I want y'all opinion on this. I want y'all opinion on this storyline or this so-called case with the throuple. If y'all think it's legit or not. I want to know how y'all feel about Daniel and how he dealt with Bianca. And let me tell y'all something. What I have noticed more and more just with life in general, people don't defend what's right anymore. They defend who they like. So I have seen people who just simply said, even no matter how much Daniel has disrespected Bianca and admitted that he used her, because they don't like Bianca, they're just like, whatever, I don't care. She's just so annoying. People don't defend what's right anymore. But again, if something like that happened to them, they would be hurt. But again, I'm about what's right, not about who I like. And at the end of the day, I feel like Daniel is a douchebag. But I want to know your opinion. I want to know your opinion, how you feel about that. I don't know if y'all even care about Will and Courtney at this point, but I want your thoughts. And then the Brooke and JK thing. Is Alice actually pregnant, or hell, is this also a storyline too? I don't trust none of it no more. None of it. Of course, Joseph, you already know that. Even those who have less followers than me and those who have more followers than me, they purposely come to smaller channels, take notes, and then they can get the views on their channels. I have seen it so many times. I've seen it so many times. So at the end of the day, I already know. I know people listen and I know they take notes so they can put it on their channel. I do know, but that's all right. God got me. God got me. So the ones taking notes, hey, God bless you. Your karma gonna come, but God bless you because I'm still a Christian. And at the end of the day, I don't wish anything bad on you, but God don't like ugly and God don't play about me. So with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for listening to my live. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely want y'all to chime in and let me know what y'all think about this episode. Yes, I agree. I love y'all. Thank y'all for y'all support. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.